Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Superstars of Wrestling Review series for the 30th of January 1993, which ends up being the week after the Royal Rumble of the 1993 year. We learn that Yokozuna is your Royal Rumble champion, for lack of a better term, and he will go on to WrestleMania 9 to face Bret Hart in what many people consider to be one of the top three worst WrestleManias of all time. The others being mentioned in that conversation usually are 2 and 11. So, anyhow, we move into that and we move into the match itself. Or the matches themselves. Head Shrinkers against Reno Riggin and Bobby Perez. Head Shrinkers, again, reminder, they are the reason that Money Incorporated are the current tag team champions. Alpha comes out with his team and a raw fish. Not particularly appetizing for those of us who aren't. I like sushi, but I assume some of my sushi is cooked. I'm not a complete raw fish person. But anyway, um, the head shrinkers take pretty dominance nature, and they're still bringing out the spears. Alpha takes a bite of the fish at ringside, whilst the head shrinkers are handling Mr. Reno Riggins and his partner in pretty quick order. Alpha seems to be the focal point of this enhancement match. Odd that the head shrinkers, within a year, probably a little less, will be baby faces. Big clothesline there, and the head shrinkers do the front face plant double team, followed by the big splash. Victory for them. Bret Hart is focused on Yokozuna, but also focused on being a fighting champion. Basically says Yokozuna probably going to be one of his biggest challenges. That's pretty literal. Going into WrestleMania, but he's going to worry about him as he gets closer. Many challenges stand in the way before he gets there. Damian Demento against Tommy Knight. Knight seems to be a relatively new enhancement talent. Of course, Demento stand out in the New England Independents before coming in here. Mondo Clean was his independent name, so you can search that out if you're so inclined. And several shots by Demento. Demento does the I'm talking to myself and the voices in my head deal. He hits several knee drops and other strike-related maneuvers before taking out his adversary with some hard clotheslines and then a neck breaker, among other things. Commercial for the WWF fan club is up next. Basically, the Macho Man trying to get people to add themselves to a mailing list. Mr. Perfect against Louis Spicolli, who would know that both men would be affiliated with the NWO a few years later. Spicolli coming into his own here as he's 3 years away from ECW. Manages to, do a pretty big deal. We do a Lex Luger posing promo in the uprights while Hennig is in the ring. Hennig hits a drop kick on Spicolli. Needless to say, Narcissus, aka Lex Luger, not happy with I guess you'd say, the stoppage by Mr. Perfect. Perfect with some chops and a perfect plex. After an Irish whip into the corner, gets the victory. We go to an event center where the Money Inc. talks about not really having that many challengers. Still talking about the Nasty Boys a little bit. Still talking about some other teams, but they really don't have that many big challengers. Shawn Michaels up next. Still your Intercontinental Champion, facing off against Gary Jackson. They're still doing the Shawn Michaels left the building thing when he in fact leaves the building. He starts to do the chaps and the reveal of them. Ladies are certainly enamored with him here in 1993. Jackson tries to get Michaels to the top rope, but this does not work. Headbutt by Jackson. Michaels goes into the corner and blocks, or does not block, rather, a monkey flip. Michaels even willing to do a little bit of selling for enhancement talent before cutting him off with a running clothesline. And then we see Michaels go and beat down his adversary pretty aggressively. Lays him out with a relatively quick run of the high knee. And Michaels, goes for the pin, gets the victory off the back suplex. Hacksaw Duggan challenges Yokozuna to be knocked off his feet. Basically, Mr. Fuji and Yokozuna have been running complete heel stuff where they basically say Americans are fat, lazy, undereducated, and the like. Duggan says he will put his American honor up next week against Yokozuna. Yokozuna had been in the WWF just over 2 months, has yet to be knocked off his feet, and is a Royal Rumble winner. So they need to make him look at least plausible as a guy who can be beaten a little bit. High Energy against the Brooklyn Brawler and Chuck West. High Energy at this point starting to slow down as a team a little bit. Not physically, but just the push. They still seem rather directionless. Anyway, Coco and Owen do make a good team. Brooklyn Brawler, of course, gets some offense before getting hip tossed, arm dragged, and arm barred pretty simply. Good tags by the babyface tag team, an Irish whip, and a big drop kick, among other things. Coco Ware doing quite well. Coco's been with the WWF from 86 to 93, 94 when he finally leaves. I mean, it's a pretty good run for a guy like that. Big drop toe hold, arm bars, arm breakers, and Owen Hart finally makes the tag to Coco. Coco hits the elevated drop kick. 1, 2, 3, High Energy is your victory here, or gets your victory here. Bob Backlund, who has the longest tenure in the Royal Rumble match of 1993 at over 45 minutes. Might even be over 50 minutes, but he ends up going one-on-one here with Mike Sharp, Iron Mike Sharp. Sharp been around the WWF since 86, 87, something like that. Did have a run with Vince's father in the 70s as well. Did, I think, challenge Bruno at least once. And Irish whip. And Backlund crawls through, rolls through, gets a roll up, and the victory. Backlund does very few non-amateur moves, gets a quick victory. Razor Ramon against Pete Christie. And Ramon wearing the purple and gold this time out, kind of making a little bit of variation. Hands the gold off to the ringside attendant. If you lose the gold, something will happen to you. Razor with several chops right up in the face of his adversary. Big toss by Razor, and that goes kind of according to the plan of what Razor wants, I suppose. Big back suplex from the second rope on the inside. Razor then with the Razor's Edge and, gets the victory. Razor, I don't know that him losing does any real damage to him. I don't think it does, but Bam Bam Bigelow promises to be the WWF champion by the end of 1993. Virgil basically says he wants to get back on the winning ways so he can challenge for the title as well. Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji accept the challenge of Jim Duggan for next week in that knock Yoko off his feet challenge. Tatanka talks about having a pretty good showing of himself as of late, but doing it for the Native American culture tribes across America, and we close for today. We'll be back with February in a little bit, but until then, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.